Welcome, everybody, to the Indiana Basketball Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I am your co-host for the Indiana Basketball Weekly Show, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my two co-hosts. First up, a member of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame and a national champion in 1981, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Hey, doing great. Everything's fine. Got a win. It's good news.
All right, and next up, of course, we have Collin Hartman, who I can't unfortunately say won a national championship or an Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, but he hasn't had 30 high-powered people in Indianapolis petition to get him in that Hall of Fame yet. How you doing, Collin?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
All right. Indiana wins 68-66. Let's just get your first thoughts off this game. We'll start with Collin. What's your takeaway here? Because with me, the thing that really stood out to me was when Juwan Morgan had to come out of the game is the way Romeo Langford stepped up and took over the game on both sides of the court.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's a huge thing. Overall, I think that's the best thing that I take from the game. Just, it's the worst and the best thing at the same time. Juwan getting hurt, but at the same time, Romeo stepping up and, like you said, on both sides of the court with that block. He gave up the offensive rebound, but he made up for it with the block. Made big shots. I think it's great. I mean, anytime you get a win in the Big Ten, you take it how you get it, as long as it ends up as a W. Yes, we would have liked to win by more coming off a loss at Duke and playing at the home, but I think it's a good win. And I think that the fact that Romeo stepped up the way he did was huge for the team, and hopefully that continues moving forward.
Yeah, and Steve, I think what it showed here was a little bit of mental toughness, at least at the end of the game when they needed it.
Well, I think the team showed mental toughness throughout the entire game. I think there's some fundamental flaws with this team, and still all evolving around their post defense. But I don't. This team doesn't concern me about their mental toughness at all, because their resolve to win games like this. These are games under our previous regime that we would tend to lose just by not being able to close a deal. This team's closing the deal when it has an opportunity 99% of the time. I was very impressed, like Colin said, with Romeo. Kind of almost Magic Johnson-esque in my mind. That's why I started thinking, this guy's stepping up and doing what Magic did when Kareem went down. He's playing the post. He's blocking shots. He's getting rebounds. He's putting the ball up the court. I mean, so I think that's how special of a player he is. But the team's not as flawed, but they're all fixable flaws. I'm just continuing to be a little disappointed in Archie Miller being the defensive prowess coach that he's supposed to be, and defense is our weakest link right now, in my opinion. Our shooting, last I heard, I haven't seen a box score yet, but we were over 60% shooting, which means we're getting our percentage shots.
We were 55%. Northwestern was 44%.
Okay, you get a box score?
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen one yet, so. But yeah, so our shot selection's good. We're scoring the right way. We're doing everything offensively. The perimeter play was good. We dumped inside. Juwan Morgan, was handling the inside offensively. I couldn't count on one hand the number of times we had missed opportunities to help out defensively. Guys standing around and going back to their man rather than going to the ball. Only stop the ball. It's the number one thing defensively. Stop the ball. Don't go back to your man. Stop the ball. And we're not doing a good enough job of that. And would have thought we'd have been better at that by now at this point in time.
All right, Colin.
Well, there was one instance that on the post, we were fronting the post on Pardon. Juwan was, and Rob Finnessy's guy was in the back opposite corner, was in the backside corner, and Rob's supposed to be a little past the help line because that's a far skip pass. Ball was on the low wing, post side, and Rob's supposed to be over almost on the opposite, on ball side block to deter that, because we can get all the way back to the corner on the skip pass. So Rob came late and kind of olayed it. I don't know. I kind of got out of the way, finished there. Then we went down the offense. We got fouled, and the first thing Coach Miller did was climb into Rob. I was watching. He climbed into Rob because, A, he was late, and B, he just got out of the way instead of walling up and making him finish over. So it's not like it's not being addressed. It just needs to be translated and applied. And I can guarantee that they're working on games or working on it in practice, because I see that coach is getting mad about it in games. So I know that if he's getting that frustrated and that reacting that way in game in a timeout at a dead ball, I know that it's something that he's been stressing in practice. In my mind, from a player from playing with him, I know what how he acts and how he reacts. And if he's putting time and effort into something in practice and it's not carried over to the game, that's when he gets most frustrated. If you obviously haven't been working on it, then that's just something like, okay, well, we need to work on that. But if we've been working on it and hounding on it, and it's been a problem, like Steve said, it's been our post defense has been a problem, and that's obviously we're undersized in the post except for Duran. Duran's not in game shape yet, so we have Jawan playing and Evan Fitzner. They're not big bodies or anything like that can just guard one-on-one. So we have to front the post and bring that help side so we can force the skip or steal the over-the-top pass to the post. And Rob just didn't execute it that time, and it's just I can see that we're working on it in practice and it's being stressed in film. It just needs to be carried over.
Yeah, and the thing I take away from this game is, Steve, I think they are getting better at all these things. I mean, they held Northwestern to 44%. The thing that stands out to me still, though, and I thought it was going to bite them in the ass and cost them this game, which we saw happen last year, is just you got to make your free throws. You got to make free throws. You got to limit turnovers, and we haven't accomplished that yet.
Yeah, I think I heard at one point in time that Juwan Morgan was 10 for 28 from the free throw line for the year. You know, you can't have your leading scorer being 10 for 28 from the free throw line. I mean, then we just become too easy to foul. But, Colin, back to your comment, you know how you fix being out of position real quickly?
How?
Play the players that'll put you in position. If you have to be in position, Rob Finney, sit down until you learn to get
right.
it. That's what I'm telling you. What that's my error would have done. Knight would have said, I don't care if you're Isaiah Thomas. If you're out of position, sit down. When you learn to get in position, you'll play. Simple fix.
I agree.
Simple fix. I mean, don't tell me about practice and how they're getting a little bit better. This is going to be a major nemesis for this basketball team in the Big Ten if they don't correct it right now and just find 5 guys that'll get into defensive position and play them. That's my answer to that problem.
Well, the thing is, if you don't if you don't have 5 guys that can get into position, then I mean that's something you have to stress on practice. You play the guys that do it the most. Well, you're not going to have guys that do it all the time, right. every time.
All right, I don't want to beat up Archie Miller. That's what I'm here to do, but I'm telling you, he's had plenty of time to get these guys to learn to be in position. He's 7 games into the season right now. If players are still not getting into position at this point in time, there's a disconnect there in communication. Okay, move on. That's my opinion. I'm sorry. Right. It's not hard.
I agree with you, but what I see is this, Steve. I see this defense better at doing that than it was last year, and I see this team's defense they were better at it today than they were in the game before that. And I know the Duke game's a bad comparison.
Well, yeah, you're going against Duke, of course.
Even going back to 2 games previous against UC Davis.
Even Arkansas.
I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you. I saw the same flaws, the same people out of position that I've seen every game so far this year, defensively in the post.
But I don't think
I've seen no improvement at all.
Well, okay, I do.
People score at will. People score at will at us in the paint.
All right, but
that's the only way teams are staying with us because our guard play, our perimeter play, our penetration, our offensive skills are so strong. The only way Northwestern stays in this game is they're killing us in the paint. That's the only way anybody stayed in the game with us is they're killing us in the paint.
Yeah, but they're killing us in the paint because underneath, other than Juwan Morgan, we don't really have a paint presence until Deron Davis can play a whole game. Because Fitzner's not going to come in and bang around and do anything there. And I'm sorry, but the guy I'm least impressed with so far has been Justin Smith because he tends to make some really crazy decisions.
Oh, he missed so many opportunities being out of position. Number 3, right? Smith, number 3, right? Yeah. That kid was out of position every time the ball went into the paint. I was like, is that 3 again? Is that 3 again? So it's all good. We're winning. This team has heart. This team is going to will itself to win these games. I'm not worried about that at all. I'm just saying you better fix the one major glaring problem you have, and that's post defense.
Well, and I'll tell you this, though,
I don't see any improvement.
Steve, this is the thing, though. The reason I'm all right with this team right now is this. As you just said,
I'm all right with the team,
hold on now. And this is why I think this will be all right. because we don't question their heart. They find a way to win games. And I think as they go through the season, I mean, and I've talked about it before, I don't care how good you are right now. I care how good you are at the end. The way to find a really well-coached team is a team that improves, that is, improved immeasurably from the first game to the last game. So the thing is, everything is a learning process. At least today you get to learn it with a win. And I think the other thing we found out is Romeo Langford, when the chips are down, Romeo Langford's probably the guy that's going to end up being the leader on this team if this team is going to win a lot of games, Collin.
I just don't think Romeo.
Before Collin talks, Mike, can I ask you a question? Did you just say this team learned something by winning? Would they have learned more had they lost this game?
They would have probably, yeah. Collin, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Collin.
I think, in order for Romeo to be a true leader, it goes back to communication. I haven't seen Romeo be vocal enough, in my opinion, to be the true leader of this team. Yes, he may score the most points, but that's not who's the leader. That's the guy you go to in clutch. But that's not the leader.
This is, when I was growing up, the leader was the guy you went to in the clutch. And, he did it offensively and defensively. I don't think you have to be vocal to be a leader. I think the big problem is we got a bunch of guys like him and Juwan Morgan that none of them are vocal. But I still think, when you want to get the ball to a certain guy at the end of the game because you know he's going to win the game, I still think that that's kind of your leader.
Well, just because he's the most talented, most skilled, doesn't mean he's the leader. You can be the most talented, most skilled, and you can be a complete idiot. But he's not. But, he's not. You have to be vocal and be able to have guys rally around you.
Well, I think that when Juwan went down, Romeo showed me he stepped up to a new level of leadership when Juwan went down. He asserted himself physically, leadership-wise, in every capacity that I would expect a freshman of his caliber do. He took the game over for Indiana, and that's leadership.
Yeah, because to tell you the truth.
He'll translate that into communication. Now he's got some confidence. This was a great thing for Romeo Langford in what we got out of him.
Oh, this was a great thing for this team.
Juwan going down, as long as he's not hurt badly, is a blessing to us now because Romeo stepped up to a new level of Romeo Langford tonight. And that's the most thrilling thing in this game was that he stepped up to a new level in the last 5 minutes of the game. He took leadership. He took over the team, bar none.
Yeah, and
he became a leader today.
I still think this, though, Collin, quiet or not, when you got a certain guy that you want to take the last shot, this kind of falls on his shoulders, I think. I think he's the most talented guy on this team. But the other thing, from watching him play just in high school, which I know is not the same thing, he's not a selfish guy. He tries to get the ball to other people. But when the game is on the line, he wants the ball. And there's a lot of teams in this country that their best player doesn't necessarily want to take that last shot.
Well, yeah. But I can look down the line. The best leaders that I've ever been around and that I've watched growing up are guys like Kobe's a killer. He wants the ball in the end, but at the end of the day, he's gonna tell you and demand the ball from you all game. He's not gonna wait till the end. He's not gonna. He's gonna be the guy that's climbing in dudes in game and in practice, challenge them at all times vocally to push them to get better. The thing is, I don't disagree in any way, shape, or form that I want the ball in Romeo's hands at the end of the game. That's not even a question in my mind. But I'm saying for a guy to be a leader and bring guys with him, you can't bring guys with you if you don't talk. That's the stand that I'm looking at.
And I remember Isaiah Thomas as a rookie. Halfway through the season, he was different than when he was at the start, Steve. And he wasn't Romeo. He wasn't that quiet. He still talked. But Isaiah Thomas took over that team probably about 10 games into his freshman year. And I'm hoping that's what we see with Langford.
I hope so, too.
I think Romeo's performance in the last 4 minutes of the game gave him a key to unlock the door to learn to communicate. I'm interested to see what the next game bears out for Romeo. If he sustains what happened here in the last 4 minutes and this more metamorphosis he made. So I think Collin makes some great points. I do want to see him be more vocal, but in terms of all the progress I've seen Indiana make, what happened in the last 4 minutes of the game, that's probably the most important progress Indiana's made is Romeo stepping up, taking over leadership of this team, doing the things he needs to do, and taking over the game, and other players looking to him to take over leadership of the game. And that's a great first step. Let's see what he does with it now.
Yeah, and I think
the next step is to get vocal.
At the end, I think this team becomes even more better than that if Devontae Green starts to play more, because he needs to be on the court more.
You got to play Devontae. You got to play him.
Yeah,
I like Devontae Green. I thought he did good. I was glad to see that he took some bad shots, questionable shots, but it seemed that coach stuck with him. I was happy for that. Stick with him. I hate to see Finney's playing time cut because I think Rob's a great player too. But they're just going to have to dole it out now and look to go to the 3-guard offense and use that absolute strength that they have. They've got luxury of having so many talented guards up front. They can focus on trying to get to the inside to match the perimeter play. So.
All right, guys. Now we go to another Big Ten test at Penn State, which is a road test, which they failed against Arkansas. Penn State looks to be, I think, better than what people thought they would be this year. They upset Virginia Tech 63-62 on Tuesday night. They actually played later today at Maryland. What do you look for, especially since it's a road game, and so far there hadn't been any success on the road? What do you want to see improved here other than what we've talked about, Steve? Because we know the help side defense, all that. What do you want to see in this next game?
Communication. I mean, it's Colin and I will both tell you that right now. We both have faced that, and played under teams that had great communication under different coaches that all stress great communication. They've got to keep improving the communication more so than anything. The defense will pick itself up if they'll communicate better. If somebody's back there saying, Smith, get over here, or telling people where to be, some captain back there directing things, communication will automatically improve their post defense. They're just not talking to each other. It's not they don't have the ability. I don't care about size. Pfister can guard anybody. He's 6'10"? Don't tell me at 6'10" you can't stop and block a shot or play good post defense. It's just the communication of getting people in the right position. So hopefully, my big hope now is that Juwan's not hurt badly. It's just a contusion on his thigh. They were putting ice on his shin. Which tells me what.
Yeah, I think he just got a knee to his shin right there on that bone.
Shin or something like that. Yeah, I think that's all it was. Which he'll play through that. I mean, as long as there's no structural damage to the ankle or the knee, he'll be back. He'll be fine. So it's just, to me, it's just all about communication for this basketball team, and that's what I want to see improve in Happy Valley.
All right, Colin, any final comments?
That'll improve the perimeter. That'll improve the post defense.
All right, Colin, any final comments before we sign off?
No, one of the things also on top of communication I'm looking for is, I just love us to have a game where we have 12 or less turnovers.
Yeah.
I think that would put us in a huge position to win the game.
Oh, and making 75% of our free throws would be nice, too.
Yep, that'd be nice, too.
Yeah, free throws, we were, 58% on free throws, or 57% for the game. We only had 13 turnovers. I'm okay with 13 turnovers for a young team like this. Get above that, and you start giving some points away. But 13.
Yeah, but with the turnovers, isn't it kind of what kind of turnovers they are? And it seems like Indiana's turnovers seem to be transition turnovers near midcourt most of the time.
I mean, you look at our ball handlers. Romeo only had 2 turnovers. Finney had 2 turnovers. Devontae had 0 turnovers. I find that hard to believe, but that's what it's showing on the stat sheet. So, I mean, Juwan had 4 turnovers. So that was one-fourth of our turnovers were right there, or 1/3 of them were right there. So that's okay. If our big guys making turnovers, as long as our point guards aren't making stupid plays and not allowing us to create an offense, that's fine. But I'm okay with guys like Langford and those guys only having 1 or 2 turnovers a game. 13 is a good number. Colin, do you agree with that?
Yeah, that's why I shoot for 12. I'm just saying, specifically on the road, if you can take care of the ball on the road, you give yourself significantly higher chance of winning, and winning big.
All right, guys, Tuesday night, Indiana will travel to Penn State, play the Penn State Nittany Lions at 7 o'clock. We'll be on air right after the game, so make sure you come back to thegruelingtruth.net to check us out there. I want to remind you, if you have any questions, you can send the questions to Twitter, which would be at Grueling Truth, or at Grueling Hoops, I believe it is, Steve. So make sure you check those out. Remember, you can hear all of our shows on iHeart, Spotify, iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher. Wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Collin Hartman, Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.